Your girl, Dr. D. I'm the courage catalyst, honey, and I am that hand on your back that pushes you out of your comfort zone into your courage zone. Well, it's February, y'all. Yep, it's February. And I know most of us are celebrating 28 days of Black excellence. I know we celebrated 365 days. Yes, 365 days out of the year. And I know it's recognized by some in the month of February. So I wanted to say happy Black excellence as well. And then I also wanted to stop here for just a second and tell you what I'm doing and challenging you to do the same. So February, I'm deeming as fearless February. Yes, fearless, fearless. Let's break that down. So when you look it up, it's just like the definition of fearless is lack of fear. Well, the way that I think about it is less fear, right? Fear less. Fear less. And so when I think about, some of the things that hold us captive in or hold us back in doing the things that we really want to do and desire to do in our lives, fear is number one on the list. And so this month, I want us to think about, because your girl is thinking about it, some of those things that have held me back over the last few years and have become barriers in my way to getting the things done that God has called me to do, accomplishing those things that have been on my list and I just haven't made it through them for one reason or the other. And to really think about my why behind that. So I'm taking the month of February and I'm going to fear less and I'm going to do more. I'm going to be in my courage zone and I'm going to really knock off some things that have really been bound by fear. So my question to you in this community is, what has held you back because of fear? Like, what's that thing that you allowed fear to grip you and hold you in that space and wouldn't allow you to do it, wouldn't allow you to move forward? I know you know it. But sometimes it's hard to identify that it's a fear. I was talking to and coaching a young lady who lives in London the other day. And we were talking about, her career transition. And she's been at this company for, a really good majority of her career. And she's looking at what's kind of going on in the world, what's happening around her, and people are being laid off and other people are choosing to leave. And so I asked her, what are you afraid of? What's the fear? Name it. And she said, I don't think it's fear. So she went down the list and I said, well, let's explore that. What do you think is holding you back from making a transition? And so she started going through her list. She started talking about the connection to the people and the relationships she had built and all of these things. And she said, those are the things that I'm going to miss. And I said, are you afraid that you won't be able to build those relationships outside of where you're at? And she stopped and paused for just a second and said, you're right. It's a fear. Because she had built all of these things up in the years that she'd been there, and she was really good at what she was doing. So in further conversation, we also discovered a couple other things, that she was really, really good at what she's done, right? And built over these years, and everyone knew her. Having to transition to something new and unknown was scary because she had to start over, getting to know some people and building relationships and proving her worth. So there was a fear. And so when we unpacked that and started to name those fears, it started to make sense to her. And it started now just sparking some things that said, you know what? Maybe these are the things that have been holding me back to actually do what I want to do. I've just been afraid to make that jump, that leap, because I don't know what I'm leaping into. I know this over here. People know me over here. But over here, I've got to do something different. I've got to show up differently and get uncomfortable. Let that sink in. And so for how many of us have held ourselves in a space because it's uncomfortable to jump into the unknown, the new, the strange, where I have to rebuild, where I have to now be the new kid, or now I have to learn something new. How many of us have allowed that to hold us back in places where we know we should be going, in places that we know that could be carved out just for us? And it's been waiting for you. God's been waiting for you to make the decision to fear less and to move forward and find out, right? So one of the things that you have to be able to do is to really, first it has to start here. It's a mindset shift. It's to really start to have that conversation with yourself. Check yourself. Call yourself to the carpet. It's time to now look at it and name it. What has held me back from doing that thing that I really want to do? Maybe it's something I stopped doing. I didn't finish it. Now that's a whole nother conversation about starters and finishers. We'll have that on another chat. But what are the things that you know that you want to do, you desire to do, but you're over here and you're like, oh gosh, but maybe I need, oh no, and you're questioning it. It's taking time for you to stay in that space. Where do you need to get uncomfortable? I often give this example. When you are sitting in a space of comfort for too long, it turns into complacency. So I want you to also think physically. If you're, let's say you're in a comfortable position, you started there, right? Let's cross our legs, right? Put your one leg over top of the other. And if you sat like that for hours, first it might have started comfortable, but then you might now, okay, I'm telling myself I'm 50, so it might start to get uncomfortable faster for me than you. But during the course of time, your leg might fall asleep, your muscles in your hips or whatever it might happen might cause you to feel uncomfortable. And so what happens is our body responds to that, and we end up moving, shifting positions so that now we can move from that uncomfortable space that we were once comfortable in order for us to find a new fitting, right? A new space to try out because we were uncomfortable with something we stayed in too long. Is that making sense for you? I hope so. I hope so. Let that hit you today on this Friday. It is FearLESS February. FearLESS. We are going to have less fear. And we're going to start this month. So one thing that you can do each day of this month to get you from that uncomfortable space, to get you to move into that space where you know you need to move and you've been staying in that other space too long. What is it for you? What project? What thing that you're called to? What is it? So we've freed our mind. We're going to free our mind. We're going to name that fear. Now we are going to follow a course of action consistently. That's my problem. I'll be the first one to tell you. When I know that I'm afraid of something, whatever it is, because it makes me feel uncomfortable, I'll start it and then I'm not consistent at it because it scares me. Because there's some unknown there that I need to unpack and I need to understand, or whatever it is causing some discomfort for me. So we're going to follow the action consistently. We're going to free our minds. We're going to name the fear, and then we're going to follow the action that we set consistently this month. I don't hear y'all. Just saying. So I want us to fear less this February. I'm calling it out. I'm calling us out because we start, literally start the whole year with all the feels, right? It's the whole brand new set of 12 shiny new months that we got. A whole new set, honey, and they look beautiful. But somewhere along the way, we get in our head, we get in our way, we then begin to back up, and by the sixth month of those 12 shiny new months, we look back and like, oh, I started out with some courage, honey. I was like, yes. Somewhere along the way, we put ourselves in this box and we got right back into that comfortable space. Well, I'm not letting y'all get to the 6th month. I'm not letting me get to the 6 months because there are some things that I have to do. God has called me to do them. He called me to do it. He called me out. At the beginning of the year, called me straight out and was like, yeah, you've been doing some things over and over, same thing over and over again. Well, we're about to get uncomfortable because you've been real comfortable with the familiar. We're about to get uncomfortable. He called me out, y'all. So I'm calling y'all out because I ain't gonna be out here by myself in Fearless February. I'm not gonna do it. So let's do this together and hold each other accountable as a community. And let's post and say, what is it that you're working on that scares you, that you need to bring over the finish line this year? But we're starting with some fearless actions this month. I'm gonna tell all of myself. I am right now, I'm creating, I'm in the lab, and this, y'all, I'm gonna tell all of my, it started in 2020 and I put it on the shelf. This was the 3rd year. God called me out and said, now it's time to finish it and be done. And so it will be done this month. I promise you, you're going to see it. You're going to see it. I'm not going not one more month without it being done because it scared me. So now, your girl, yeah, I've been called to the carpet, coming out my comfort zone, honey. I am so all up in this courage zone. And every time that I feel afraid, I'm going to challenge myself to feel it, name it, come out of that space and follow the action consistently.